So what kind of a week have you had? Easy, hard. Easy, hard. Have your electronics worked this week? They all died. I don't know that all of mine died, but several. Last week I lost a phone, and I didn't lose it. It just stopped working. I had to get a new one. Oh, good. And then this week my computer died in the office here. And that's always a magical experience when you have to put together talks and communications and classes and organize. It's just wonderful, and I'm not here to complain today, especially today. We have the lovely John Valentine here who does understand things about computers. And he came right over and he pulled the hard drive out. I didn't know you could do things like that. And he couldn't get it started, but that's beside the point. He was willing to try. And so I took it over to Cartridge World, and we spent hours there getting most of my information out of it. And then I get it here, and that's when I found out most of my information came from there. And I'll tell you that 2 days later, John got my old one up and running. And this morning, I was able to get all of my information out of that. So thank you. I mean, that's just, he was determined. He said, I am determined to do this now. And I said, I appreciate your tenacity. And he looked at me like, what's tenacity? And we had appliances that were to be delivered this week that weren't. You know, Best Buy disagreed with our schedule, even though they had it on paper. Oh no, you're just getting one piece today, and it'll be this afternoon, not this morning. The other one will be there next week. Really? That's not what my paper says. Well, that's the way it is. Well, so we've had a basement door that has to be off the hinges for a week now, and we have cats because we're those kind of guys. And cats like to get in the basement, and we don't like cats in the basement. In fact, I found one there this morning. I couldn't find Cooper anywhere this morning. Somehow he got down to that basement over all the blockade that we have there. And then our heat went out this week from our brand new boiler. And we are the blessed guys who have to jackhammer our kitchen floor tomorrow to replace a pipe. God is good. God is just wonderful. And I haven't been the nicest about it, but I've been better than I used to be. I've been much kinder than I used to be. Even to David, I've been kinder than I used to be. It's still not up to his standards, but that's And I read this, he had a book sitting there the other day. And I don't think it was a hint for me. I think he just happened to be reading it. But I saw the back of it, and I took a photocopy. It's Thich Nhat Hanh. It said, without fear, we are able to see more clearly our connections to others. Without fear, we have more room for understanding and compassion. Without fear, we are truly free. Well, that's a good theory. And until you prove it, it doesn't mean much. And then he goes on to say, fear has countless faces. From the fear of failure to worries about everyday life. From financial or environmental uncertainties to the universal despair we all experience when faced by the loss of a friend or loved one. Even when surrounded by all the conditions for happiness, life can feel incomplete when fear keeps us focused on the past and worried about the future. While we all experience fear, it is possible to learn how to avoid having our lives shaped and driven by it. In these pages, Thich Nhat Hanh offers this. It's a book called Fear. From a book called Fear. And so, I looked at that and I thought, you know, with all this work I've done, I still have fear. And I still give in to it. Now, I'm not bad or guilty for that. I'm really not. I'm just glad I'm aware of it. And I'm not trying to justify it, except in those fearful moments when somebody tries to resist me. You understand. Somebody tries to tell me why I shouldn't be afraid, why there's no reason to be afraid, why I'm annoying when I'm experiencing fear, you know, while I'm not practicing what I preach, when I'm expressing my fear. Oh, the things I hear at home, you know, in a car. And But I know the truth. I know the truth. And in moments, certain moments, I seem paralyzed. I feel paralyzed to get past the fear. When I see things going on in our country, and I see violence, and I see hate things going on, and swastikas painted on windows and doors, and I see stuff, and people are getting beaten up and harassed, and I see this in our country and our fellow man, and I think, okay, I still believe in what I preach, and I still want to be at peace. Peace can't be based on conditions. And so what is peace based on? It's based on my divine nature. Because the only way to end hate is to allow myself to be who I am. The only way to eradicate war is to claim peace. Ending war will not end peace. Or will not bring about peace. Peace will end the war in my head. Peace will end the war in my body. And then peace will end the war in my world. It has to start with peace. It doesn't end with peace. It starts with peace. That wonderful song that we often sing at the end of a service. And it says, let there be peace on earth and...
Let it begin with me.
Yeah, imagine that. Let it begin with me. It doesn't say let it begin with my president. It doesn't say let me end with a general. It doesn't say let it begin with my parents. It doesn't say let it begin with my money. It doesn't say let it begin with my current spouse or one of the few past ones. It says, some of us have several of those. And it says let it begin with me. And it's like, oh, doggone it. Doggone it. When I see the cat down in the basement, gotta move all the blockade because he can't get back up from the basement. He can only get into the basement. When I see that, when people don't deliver on my schedule, even though they promised, when there's no heat, when somebody resists my pain, when the weather isn't cooperating. Does that ever happen to you? Does the weather ever not cooperate with your plan for today? Your outfit, your hair? That's not an issue. Well, except it is, believe it or not. It gets very cold on this head these days. If you don't have a hat. I looked up Charles Fillmore's definition. Charles Fillmore is Unity's co-founder. And I looked up the definition of peace in the Revealing Word. And it says, and see if this resonates. Harmony and tranquility derived from awareness of the Christ consciousness. Well, how about that? It doesn't say harmony and tranquility derived from the shop girl at ShopRite being nice to me. It says harmony and tranquility derived from awareness of the Christ consciousness. So it tells me what I've been saying here for 12 years is true. Starts with me and my awareness, my connection to spirit, my connection to what is true rather than what is temporary. That's where my peace lies. From my awareness, my awakened state, to what is absolute as opposed to what is temporary, like my opinion. That's a big relief for me. That's a tremendous, tremendous relief for me that I don't have to wait for anybody else to change. I don't have to wait for anything to change outside of myself. I don't have to wait for my childhood to have changed. But if I connect to my real nature, what I know darn well is true, then I begin to see peace everywhere I look. And it's really impressive how that works. He goes on to say, until world peace is based on the divine law of love, and this law incorporated into the pact of peace, as well as into the minds of those who signed the pact, there will be no permanent peace. And I ask myself, and I ask everyone, would you sign the pact of peace? Would you sign the pact of peace? It means changing a lot of your thinking about yourself, about your body, about your parents, about the very ground you walk upon. Would you sign the pact of peace if it meant you couldn't complain about people? Would you sign the pact of peace if it meant you couldn't hate your childhood? Would you sign the pact of peace? You don't have to answer me, just answer yourself. Would I? But let me tell you this. If the answer is no, and it's okay if it's no right now, ask yourself, what would I have to change about my thinking in order to become willing to sign the pact of peace? Your money might not change, your home life might not change, but would you still sign the pact of peace? I promise, if we were to sign the pact of peace, and it's not about them signing, it's about me signing. If I were to sign the pact of peace, everything has to change. It has to shift. That's the way it is. That's the law. That is spiritual law. When I sign up for love, for joy, for peace, for wisdom, for intelligence, for presence, for power, when I sign the pact to join with that which I am in my conscious mind, things have to change. Now, as some of you know and have already learned, sometimes when we sign up for this stuff, everything unlike it appears. Suddenly we're getting divorced, so the bill collectors show up that you didn't even know you owed. Sometimes everything unlike the very thing you say you want appears. And it's like, I didn't know I signed up for this. I thought I was just going to be in bliss. That's the way it's supposed to be. I signed, I love God. Now it should be blissful. And then but all that old stuff's got to heal. Let me read you this. This comes from my favorite book, The Holy Spirit's Interpretation of the New Testament, available in our bookstore. And I'm reading from Thessalonians today. In chapter 2 of 1 Thessalonians says, your viewpoint is everything. Whose viewpoint?
Mine.
Yeah. My viewpoint is everything. The way you look at the world determines the world you see. Therefore, it is time for you to look carefully at the way you look at the world. It is time to realize that you are the maker of all that you see. Please don't throw this up to me this afternoon. I'm doing my best. Peace is the guiding light that you must follow as you learn to look within the mind. For it is peace that leads you to recognition of truth. And it is lack of peace that reminds you that you are not following your way. It is lack of peace that reminds you you are not following your way. And so it's not a matter of if you would just change, I could be at peace. If you'd follow my way, then I could be at peace. It's if I would follow my way, I would be at peace. Are we clear on that? If I would follow my way, I could be at peace. Peace is your guide, because in peace you accept the power of God as it is, and you enjoy its flow. Peace is gentle gratitude. Peace is love for all that is. We're not saying for all that isn't. We're saying love for all that is. When fear intrudes on peace, you will hear it as if you are, you will hear it if you are listening. There will seem to be a slight upset, a stab thrust upon your peace, and an immediate desire to deny the thought or feeling that has intruded on your peace. I tell you, the desire to deny the intrusion is fear. It is fear that you are, and we use this term here, and I'm going to use it, a sinner. Doesn't mean I think I'm evil. It just means that I have missed the mark. It is fear that I have missed the mark and I'm going to be punished. That's the fear. I have somehow forgotten who I am and now I'm going to be punished for it. Because too many of us were brought up to believe that, and it was ingrained in us that somehow God is going to be mad at me because I forgot. Wipe that out. God is never mad at us because God's not my mother. God is not mad at us because God is not my personality. God is spirit. God is principle. God is wisdom. God is intelligence. God has no judgment. So I don't have to hate myself or hide because I forgot. All I have to do is remember. When I forget, I can redeem myself by remembering. Is that so bad? Redemption comes from remembering, not from guilt. Okay. I tell you, the desire to deny the intrusion, I tell you to give in to this desire to deny is to heap up within you fear and the belief in sin. This is not salvation. And this is not the way of peace, nor is it the reason for being in tune with your peace. And over in chapter 3 it says, lack of peace in any measure is an opportunity to be healed. To look at the intrusion and to focus on it as a failure is to continue to hold on to error. Do not judge your own lack of peace. Rejoice that the Holy Spirit has brought you to another moment of healing. It is true that peace is cause for rejoicing gratitude. It is through gratitude that peace is extended. Rejoice in each moment that peace is known within your heart. Do not judge from whence the peace has come or whether it is for the right or the wrong reason. Celebrate its glory regardless of the reason and be glad. Peace is the guiding light, so when you know peace, you know your guide. Be like children and celebrate your joy without judgment. May you know gratitude without searching for judgment. May you know joy in the innocence of the moment, which was given to you in love by God. Each moment of peace is a gift. Accept it as it is given, and you give the gift that has been known to you. And then let's just...
Is that, Shawn?
What?
What page is that?
It's Thessalonians chapter 3. It's 1 Thessalonians. And then over here in chapter 5, this is the last part, it says, be gentle with yourself on this path of remembering. And be gentle with those who reflect your thoughts to you. Remember the purpose of peace and the purpose of the lack of peace. Peace is the path of remembering. Lack of peace is evidence that you have momentarily strayed from your path. Therefore, it is a reminder to put forgetfulness aside and step joyously on the path of peace again. Walk the way of peace and gratitude, and let the memory of truth sweep over you. That gives me a tremendous amount of hope. That inspires my confidence in love, my confidence in principle. That inspires me to look in the face of what might upset me and say, okay, fine, have your itchy stuff inside, but know the truth. And then you look at the stuff that looked even scarier and say, show me the love here. Show me the joy here. Show me the wisdom here. So that I don't have to fear it, but I can know what to think about it. If you should accidentally look at the newspaper and you see something that jolts you, or something on Facebook that jolts you, or something on television that jolts you, because you know it's not true. Hatred is not the truth. Attack is not the truth. Love is the truth. Wisdom is the truth. Intelligence is the truth. Imagine becoming willing in the face of all that scares us, to say, I'm willing to see the truth here. I'm willing to know the truth here. I am willing. I am willing. I am willing. So go ahead and show me. Go ahead and show me with whatever scares you, be it your mind, be it your body, Be it the world you live in, be it your money, be it your home, whatever it is that might, that stab through what you know to be true. And say, okay, show me the truth here. Because anything that is less than truth isn't worth it. Anything that's less than the truth isn't worth knowing. I want to know the truth. I am willing to know the truth. Because it is in the knowing of the truth that I am set free. So it is.